I never imagined that the person I trusted the most would be the one to betray me in the most cruel way possible. My husband, my supposed soulmate, my partner in life, had been planning my downfall while I was fighting for my life. And it all started the day I was diagnosed with cancer. I remember that morning vividly. The sunlight was streaming through the curtains, painting the bedroom in soft gold, and I had been sipping my coffee, scrolling through my phone. My world turned upside down in an instant when the doctor uttered those words. It's malignant. You have cancer. The room felt smaller, suffocating. I felt a tremor in my chest, a fear so deep it felt like it would swallow me whole. But amidst the terror, I clung to one thought: my husband, Alex, would be there for me. He would hold me, cry with me, fight with me. That's what marriage was supposed to mean, right? For the first few days, he acted like he did. He stayed by my side at every appointment, held my hand when the nurses drew blood, and even tried to cook me small meals, which ended up in disaster, but I appreciated the effort. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could get through this together. But that illusion didn't last long. The first red flag came in the form of my inheritance. My father had passed away a few years ago, leaving me a small fortune, enough to buy our dream home and secure our future. I never flaunted it. Alex knew about it, but I never discussed it daily. It was mine, something my father wanted me to have to live freely. But I started noticing subtle things: calls from banks I didn't recognize, missing paperwork, sudden questions about joint accounts. One evening, while I was too weak from chemotherapy to get out of bed, Alex leaned over me with that fake concerned smile. "Babe, I think we need to talk about your inheritance," he said. His voice was soft, but there was a calculating edge I hadn't noticed before. "What about it?" I asked, already feeling a knot in my stomach. "Well, I thought it might be better if we moved it into a joint account. For your treatment and our bills. Just to make things easier." I hesitated. I wasn't in the condition to argue, and part of me trusted him. But another part, the part that had always been cautious, felt alarm bells ringing. I don't know, Alex. It's my money. I'd rather keep it separate." He sighed dramatically, the kind of sigh that felt like guilt tripping. "I just want to make things easier for you. You're too sick to handle all this paperwork." And just like that, I let my guard down. Because he was my husband, my partner. He wouldn't betray me, right? Weeks passed, and my health deteriorated. The chemo was brutal. My hair fell out in clumps. My stomach revolted against every meal. And fatigue wrapped me in a fog that made the world seem distant. But I still tried to fight. Every day, I reminded myself, I can survive this. I have to survive this. But while I fought cancer, Alex was fighting me in his own way, against my financial security, against my peace of mind. It started with small things at home. He would forget to pay bills, claiming he had already done it, only for me to discover that checks bounced or utilities were in danger of being cut off. He would spend hours on his phone, whispering in tones I couldn't hear, or closing tabs on his laptop whenever I entered the room. I brushed it off at first, thinking it was stress or maybe him caring for me in a clumsy way. Then came the letters, official-looking letters from lawyers, asking me to sign forms transferring assets or authorizing withdrawals I hadn't approved. I felt my stomach drop every time I opened one. I asked him about them once. He smiled and said, "It's just paperwork for the house, babe. Nothing to worry about." But I did worry. Every instinct screamed at me that something was wrong. But how could I confront him? I was weak, scared, dependent on him. I didn't have the energy to dig into the truth. And so, I suffered in silence, hoping my instincts were wrong. The first time I saw it, the betrayal in its raw, unmistakable form was subtle, almost laughable in retrospect. But it cut me deeper than I could have imagined. I was too sick to leave the house, so Alex offered to handle the grocery shopping. When he returned, he had bags full of luxurious items I never asked for. Designer clothes, fancy gadgets, a gold watch. "Alex, this. Why all this?" I asked weakly. "Think of it as keeping your spirits up. A little luxury while you recover," he said. But his eyes flickered, just for a moment, and I saw something there I had never seen before. Not love, not concern, satisfaction. It didn't make sense at the time. I was too tired to question it. But later, I noticed the receipts. They weren't just expensive. They were being charged to accounts I didn't recognize, accounts that had nothing to do with me. And slowly, the horrifying truth began to form in my mind. Alex wasn't worried about my health. He was worried about the inheritance. My father's money. The one thing I thought was untouchable. And that's when the real terror set in. Not the cancer, not the weakness, not even the thought of dying, but the thought that the person who promised to love me, who promised to protect me, had been plotting my ruin all along. I wanted to confront him, but I couldn't. Not yet. I needed proof. I needed clarity. And most importantly, I needed strength. Strength I wasn't sure I had. Little did I know. The nightmare had only just begun. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of everything. My body ached, my mind raced, and my heart felt like it was breaking in slow motion. I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just fighting cancer. I was fighting my husband, the man I loved, the man I trusted more than anyone in the world. And I had no idea how far he was willing to go to take everything from me. That's when I noticed the first wire transfer, an amount large enough to drain the account completely. And the name on the recipient? Someone I never expected. Someone close to us. The moment I saw that wire transfer, my chest tightened so hard I thought I might collapse. My hands shook as I scrolled through the account history again and again, each time hoping it was some kind of mistake. But the numbers didn't lie. Tens of thousands of dollars gone. And the recipient, a name I recognized too well. Claire. Claire. My friend, or at least, that's what I thought she was. She had been part of our social circle for years, always laughing at our jokes, showing up at dinners, calling to check on me during my chemotherapy sessions. I trusted her. I even confided in her, sharing fears I hadn't told anyone else. And now, she was in on it. I wanted to scream, to confront them both. But I didn't have the energy. Not physically, not mentally. My body felt like it was betraying me as badly as Alex had. And yet, a fire ignited inside me, a cold, furious determination. They thought I was weak. They thought I couldn't fight back. They were wrong. I decided I needed evidence before I confronted anyone. I couldn't just accuse Alex and Claire blindly. I had to catch them. So I started small, testing the waters while pretending everything was normal. I smiled at Alex, kissed him on the cheek, made him tea while my mind raced with suspicion. Every little gesture was an act, a performance. But I kept my eyes open, my ears sharp. And then came the first real clue. It was a Saturday morning. I had scheduled my chemo session the night before, so I was exhausted, lying on the couch with a blanket draped over me. Alex was working from home, or so he claimed. I noticed his laptop was open on the dining table, unattended for a moment. My curiosity overpowered my caution. I walked over, pretending to adjust the blinds, and glanced at the screen. What I saw made my blood run cold. A series of emails, formal, cold, calculating, between Alex and Claire. They weren't hiding it very well. One email read, "The transfer went smoothly. She suspects nothing. Next installment should be enough to cover her hospital bills while we finalize the plan." I couldn't breathe. I read it again. Finalize the plan? My stomach turned over. My husband. My friend. They were planning something. Something that would destroy me completely. And they didn't even try to hide it from each other. I backed away slowly, trying to appear casual, but inside my mind was racing. I needed a plan. I couldn't confront them yet. Not until I knew the full extent of their betrayal. Not until I had a way to protect myself and what was rightfully mine. That evening, Alex came to my room with that fake concern he always wore so well. "Feeling okay, babe?" he asked, his hand brushing mine. I pulled back slightly, forcing a weak smile. "I'm fine." He frowned. "You seem distant. Are you worried about the bills?" I shook my head. No, I'm just tired." He leaned closer, resting his forehead against mine. "I just want to take care of you. You don't have to worry about anything." I looked into his eyes, searching for the man I thought I knew. And instead, I saw a stranger. A man who smiled while robbing the person he claimed to love. I had to keep up appearances. For now. But inside, I was forming a plan. A plan that would make them regret underestimating me. Over the next few weeks, I started gathering information discreetly. I memorized patterns, kept track of phone calls, and secretly documented transfers. Every suspicious text, every unexplained meeting, every lie. I recorded it all in a hidden journal. It was exhausting, but I couldn't stop. My life, my dignity, my future depended on it. Then came the day that pushed me over the edge. Alex had gone out for errands, leaving me alone at home. I noticed an envelope on the kitchen counter with my name on it. It was thick, heavier than usual. My heart raced as I opened it. Inside, Photos. Photos of him and Claire. Not just casual meetings, intimate, private moments. Dates, dinners, whispers in dark corners. Touches that were meant to be secret. I felt bone rise in my throat. My husband. My friend. Both of them laughing, plotting, stealing from me while I was fighting for my life. I sank to the floor, tears streaming down my face, my body shaking not from the chemo, but from rage and heartbreak. And in that moment, a terrifying realization hit me. This wasn't just about money. It was about everything: my life, my happiness, my sense of security. They didn't just want my inheritance. They wanted to destroy me, to take everything I had left. I tried to call my best friend, someone I could trust, someone who would believe me. But my voice cracked. I couldn't speak. The betrayal had carved a hole so deep inside me that even words seemed impossible. That night, Alex came home, humming a tune, carrying bags of groceries. He kissed me on the forehead, completely unaware, or maybe pretending to be unaware, of the storm raging inside me. I looked at him and forced a smile. But my mind was already at work. I couldn't confront him. Not yet. I needed leverage, proof that couldn't be denied. A way to turn the tables. And I would. I swore to myself, through tears and pain, that I would make them pay. Over the next few days, I watched. I waited. I planned. Every time Alex left the room, I checked his messages, his emails, his accounts. Every suspicious phone call from Claire was recorded. I was exhausted, sick, but alive in a way I hadn't felt in months. My body was weak, but my mind was sharp, focused on one thing: revenge. And then, just when I thought I had everything under control, I discovered something that made my blood run cold. Something that I couldn't believe at first, but the proof was right there in front of me. Claire and Alex weren't just stealing from me. They were planning something far worse. Something that would leave me completely powerless if I didn't act. And the clock was ticking. I froze as I saw the document on Alex's laptop. A contract with Claire, signed by both of them, that would legally strip me of my inheritance if I didn't act immediately. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the laptop. The contract stared back at me, cold and merciless. My name was on it, or at least the part that mattered. The part that would give them the legal right to take everything my father had left me. My inheritance. Our home. Every bit of security I had fought so hard to maintain. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run to Alex and throw the laptop at his face. But I couldn't. Not yet. I needed to be smarter than them. Smarter than Alex. Smarter than Claire. They had underestimated me, counted on my sickness, my weakness, my trust. And now, they were going to pay for it. For the next few days, I pretended as though nothing had changed. I smiled at Alex, poured him coffee, even let him hold my hand when he thought I was too weak to notice. But inside, my mind was racing. I had to figure out a way to stop them, to reclaim what was mine, to turn their dream life into a nightmare. I called my lawyer friend, a woman I trusted implicitly. I had to be careful with words, careful with every detail, because Alex and Claire were cunning. I need help, I said, my voice steady but my heart hammering. It's urgent. It's about my husband, and someone I thought was a friend. She didn't ask questions immediately. She just said, "Send me everything you have. Emails, messages, bank statements, anything." I spent the night gathering evidence, screenshots, bank statements, copies of letters, the photos I'd found of Alex and Claire together. Each piece of proof made my blood boil. How could someone betray you so completely? How could the people you loved, the people you trusted, treat you like a pawn in their game? The next morning, Alex came into the kitchen, his usual smug smile plastered on his face. "Morning, babe. Sleep well?" I looked at him, trying to maintain my composure. "Yeah, okay." He nodded, satisfied with my answer, and kissed my cheek. That's when I realized something terrifying. He really thought I was too weak, too sick, too foolish to fight back. I let him go, pretending to limp along with my illness, hiding my anger, hiding my plan. But inside, I was already plotting. I couldn't confront him directly. I had to make him believe he was untouchable. I had to let him reveal his full hand before I struck. Over the next week, I noticed subtle changes in Alex. He was more careless, more reckless. Perhaps he thought the contract would protect him fully. Or maybe he was just arrogant. Whatever it was, he gave me the opening I needed. One evening, Claire called. I answered, pretending to be cheerful. "Hey, Claire. How's it going?" Her voice was sweet, but there was an underlying tension. "Oh, hi. Everything's fine. How's my favorite patient doing?" I smiled through gritted teeth. "Still alive. still kicking. You know me. We exchanged small talk, but I steered the conversation carefully, trying to gauge her intentions, trying to see if she would slip, if she would reveal the cracks in their plan. And she did. Just a little. They're really counting on that money, she said, almost as if talking to herself. Once it's transferred, we can. Make the next step. I felt my stomach drop. The next step. They weren't just stealing my inheritance. They had something bigger in mind. Something that would leave me with nothing. I hung up the phone, my mind spinning. I had to act fast. I had to protect myself, my life, my future. And I realized something that made my blood run cold. I couldn't trust anyone in our circle anymore. Everyone had been pretending, smiling, acting like friends while my husband and Claire plotted behind my back. The turning point came the next day. Alex thought he was clever, sneaky, untouchable. He left his laptop unlocked again, and this time, I didn't hesitate. I went through his emails and messages with precision, documenting every single transaction, every plan, every lie. Each message made me angrier, stronger, more determined. And then I found it, the final piece of evidence I needed. A signed affidavit from a so-called financial advisor, confirming the transfer of my inheritance into accounts controlled by Alex and Claire. The proof was undeniable. The betrayal was absolute. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw everything at him and ruin him completely. But I held back. I had to play it smart. I had to plan my revenge carefully. Because if I did it wrong, I could lose everything, and worse, I could lose the battle before it even began. That night, I sat alone in our living room, staring at the stack of evidence I had collected. My hands shook, not from weakness, but from anger and adrenaline. I whispered to myself, "You thought you could destroy me. You thought I was too sick, too weak, too blind. But I see everything now, and you're going to pay." Alex came home late that night, drunk and careless, laughing with Claire on the phone. He didn't notice me sitting quietly in the dark, watching, listening. He thought I was still the sick, weak wife, the one who wouldn't fight back. How wrong he was. I had a plan, a way to turn the tables. But it was risky, dangerous. If I made a mistake, it could all blow up in my face. But I didn't care. I had been betrayed by the people I loved. And now, it was my turn to hurt them in ways they wouldn't see coming. I started by planting subtle doubts. I called Alex's business associates, hinting at discrepancies in his financials. I sent anonymous messages, suggesting that someone inside their circle might be betraying them. Every little action was calculated, every step designed to make them paranoid, to make them panic. And it worked. Slowly, Alex and Claire started arguing, small disagreements turning into loud fights. I listened from the shadows, a mixture of sorrow and satisfaction washing over me. They were finally showing cracks in their perfect facade. But just when I thought I had everything under control, Alex did something that made my blood run cold. He confronted me, not accusing, not pleading, but with that cold, dangerous glint in his eyes, the same one he had when he first plotted against me. "I know you're up to something," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "I don't know what, but I'll find out. And if you try to ruin me, I swear you'll regret it." I stared at him, my heart racing. For the first time, fear mingled with my anger. He was dangerous, cunning, and unpredictable. But I had no choice. I couldn't back down. That night, I realized the full extent of their betrayal. Alex and Claire had a backup plan, one that could leave me completely powerless, even with all the evidence I had. The moment I realized Alex and Claire had a backup plan, something inside me snapped. It wasn't fear anymore. It was survival. Raw, fierce survival. I was no longer a sick wife fighting cancer. I was a woman fighting to reclaim her life from the people who wanted to erase her. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I sat by the window, watching the moonlight spill across the floor, and thought about every lie, every stolen dollar, every whispered conversation they thought I was too weak to hear. And then, around 3 a.m., something clicked. A simple thought. A dangerous thought. If they had a backup plan, maybe I needed one too. The next morning, I woke up earlier than usual. My body ached, but adrenaline pushed me forward. Alex was in the shower, humming, like a man who had already won. I searched through his office again, more carefully this time, knowing he was suspicious of me. And that's when I found it. A small black folder, hidden under a stack of bills. Inside were documents I hadn't seen before, documents that made my skin crawl. A medical power of attorney. For me. Signed by me. Accept. The signature wasn't mine. Not even close. My knees buckled. I gripped the desk to steady myself. If Alex had this, if he had tricked someone into notarizing it, then legally, he could make any medical decision for me. He could put me into a facility. He could control all my treatment. He could even. No. I refused to let my mind go that far. But the intention was clear. Alex and Claire weren't just stealing my inheritance. They were preparing for the possibility that I might not recover, that if I became unconscious, or worse, everything would fall neatly into their hands. They were planning a future without me in it. For the first time, I felt true, bone-deep terror. I needed help, real help, someone with authority. So I called my lawyer friend again and sent her photos of the forged documents. Her response came instantly. Do an OT confront him. Stay calm. I'm contacting the district attorney's office. You have to stay quiet. We need to move fast. I felt relief, but also a gnawing fear. If I backed them into a corner too soon, Alex might do something desperate. I had to keep pretending. Later that day, Alex came home with takeout and that same fake, soft smile. I got your favorite, he said, placing the bag in front of me. I stared at the food, my favorite dish. But suddenly, I questioned everything. Was it safe? Could I trust anything he handed me? I forced myself to take a small bite, then pushed the plate away. My stomach's upset, I whispered. He nodded sympathetically, but something in his eyes flickered. He noticed my suspicion. He could sense I wasn't as blind as before. That night, as he slept deeply beside me, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The forged documents burned into my mind. I needed to leave, not forever, not openly, but for a moment, to think clearly, to plan. So the next morning, I told Alex I needed fresh air and wanted to go for a walk around the neighborhood. He hesitated, then finally agreed. It won't be long, he said. The moment I stepped outside, I felt air rush into my lungs like I had been drowning inside that house. I walked until I reached a quiet bench under a tree. Then I dialed my lawyer. We need to move now, I said. He's escalating. She hesitated. I know, but listen carefully. I found something. The dread in her voice made my blood turn cold. What is it? The account Claire is receiving money in. It's not just hers. It's a joint account. With Alex. I shut my eyes. Of course. Of course they would make it official. They weren't just having an affair behind my back. They had intertwined their lives financially. They're planning to disappear, my lawyer continued. Every document, every transfer, every step. They're getting ready to run with everything. My chest tightened. What do I do? I'm preparing an emergency injunction, but you need to act normal. Do not let him know. Not until the court freezes the accounts. I inhaled shackily. I'll try. And one more thing, she added. Be careful. People who steal this much often don't stop at theft. A chill ran down my spine. I returned home slowly, rehearsing my calm expression. Alex was waiting by the door, arms crossed. You took a long time, he said coldly. Sorry, I whispered. I felt dizzy. His eyes softened fake. Practice softness. Come inside. You need to rest. Every step into that house felt like stepping deeper into a trap. That evening, I overheard him on the phone, whispering urgently. Yeah, it has to be soon. She's getting suspicious. No, she won't be a problem. I told you, once the paperwork is done, we're out. I froze. They were planning to leave. Very soon. And they wanted me out of the way before they did. I backed away quietly and went into the bedroom, trembling. Fear twisted inside me. But it didn't overpower the anger anymore. The anger was stronger. The anger was fire. And fire can destroy everything in its path. The next morning, I decided to make my move. I told Alex I had another doctor's appointment and needed him to drive me. He agreed easily, too easily. Maybe he thought it was the perfect opportunity to carry out whatever final step he had planned. But I wasn't going to the doctor. I was going somewhere he would never expect. To the bank. When we arrived, I told him I needed a few minutes to talk privately with an account manager about medical billing. He nodded, waiting outside. But the moment the door closed behind me, I walked straight to the fraud department and handed over everything, statements, transfers, forged signatures. The banker's eyes widened. Ma'am, this is criminal fraud. I know, I whispered. Freeze everything, please, before he drains the remaining funds. We'll start immediately. I felt a rush of relief, but it lasted only seconds. Because when I turned around, Alex was standing right behind me in the hallway. His face wasn't confused. It wasn't sad. It wasn't concerned. It was furious. Deadly furious. "What?" he said slowly, stepping closer. "Are you doing here?" His voice vibrated with a cold, barely contained rage. And in that moment, I realized he knew. He knew I had finally discovered everything. He knew I was fighting back. And he wasn't going to let me walk out of that bank alive without a fight. Alex took a step toward me, his eyes burning with rage, and whispered, "You should have stayed sick. Now you've ruined everything." Alex's words hit me like a punch to the chest. "You should have stayed sick, now you've ruined everything." The echo of those words filled the bank hallway, mingling with the faint hum of fluorescent lights and the distant chatter of tellers and customers. I felt my heart pounding, my hands trembling. But somewhere deep inside, a strange calm washed over me. I had feared this moment for weeks, but now that it was here, I realized something. I wasn't alone. I had evidence. I had the law on my side, and I had the fire inside me that cancer, betrayal, and heartbreak could not extinguish. Alex lunged at me, his hands reaching for my shoulder. Panic surged, but I moved instinctively, ducking behind a teller's counter. "Security," I shouted. The call triggered alarms, and within seconds, 2 security guards were approaching. Alex froze for a fraction of a second, enough for me to step forward, holding up the stack of documents like a shield. "You're finished, Alex. Fraud, theft, forgery. Everything you've done has been recorded." My voice was trembling, but strong. Publicly exposing him was the only way to protect myself. The guards blocked his path, giving me enough space to continue. Alex's face twisted from fury to disbelief. "You think this will stop me? You think this is over?" "It's over," I said firmly. "Everything is over. Claire, the money, your plans, they're done. I'm not sick. I'm not weak. And I will not let you ruin me." At that moment, my lawyer arrived, flanked by a district attorney's assistant. She took one look at Alex and shook her head, her expression unreadable. "Alex Turner, you are hereby served with a temporary restraining order and an immediate freeze on all accounts linked to Ms. Thompson. You have no legal access to any of her inheritance. Attempting to remove or transfer funds will be considered criminal contempt." Alex's face went pale. Rage burned behind his eyes. But he knew he was trapped. He tried to speak, to argue. But the reality hit him like a sledgehammer. Every fraudulent act he had committed was now documented. Every wire transfer, every forged document, every lie accounted for. And then, something unexpected happened. Claire walked into the bank, her heels clicking against the tile floor. She froze when she saw Alex being confronted, her expression flickering between panic and disbelief. "You set me up?" Alex hissed at her. Claire's eyes darted nervously. I didn't think she'd. "I mean, I thought you had everything under control." "Under control?" He spat. "We're ruined because of you." I stood tall, finally feeling the power I had been denied for so long. "Both of you underestimated me. You thought I was too weak, too sick, too dependent. You were wrong. I've been planning this the entire time, quietly, while you plotted against me. And now, your dream life is my nightmare for you." Claire's shoulders slumped. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. The same fear I had felt for weeks while fighting my illness and their betrayal. The bank manager and security escorted Alex and Claire to a private room while law enforcement was contacted. I was asked to give a statement. Every detail spilled from my mouth. The emails, the transfers, the forged documents, the secret meetings, everything. As I spoke, I felt a weight lift from my chest. For months, I had been living in fear, in betrayal, in anger. But now, I was reclaiming my life. My father's inheritance was safe. My dignity was intact. And Alex and Claire, they would face the consequences for everything they had done. Weeks later, Alex and Claire were both arrested and charged with multiple counts of fraud, theft, and conspiracy. The news spread quickly among our friends and social circle. People who had pretended to be supportive were forced to confront the truth about the man I had loved and the friend I had trusted. I remember sitting in my living room, sipping tea, my hair growing back in soft waves, and feeling something I hadn't felt in months: peace. My body was still weak from chemotherapy, but my spirit was stronger than ever. I had fought cancer. I had survived betrayal, and I had reclaimed my life. I also realized something important. Revenge isn't about hurting others. It's about reclaiming your power. For months, Alex and Claire thrived on my fear and weakness. But I didn't just survive, I fought back. Legally, intelligently, and with unwavering determination. And the sweetest part? They thought they could destroy me quietly, without consequences. I had turned their dream life into a nightmare, but not through violence, not through malice, through strategy, patience, and courage. People ask me now how I survived it all: the cancer, the betrayal, the fear. And I tell them the truth. You survive by refusing to be a victim, by staying aware, staying strong, and never, ever underestimating your own power. As for Alex and Claire, they lost everything. Their house was seized, their accounts frozen, their freedom stripped away. They were no longer untouchable, no longer invincible. And I was free. I still remember the moment I looked at my father's photo on the wall, whispering softly, "I did it, Dad. I kept my promise to you. I survived. I won." The road ahead wasn't easy. Healing from betrayal takes time. Healing from cancer takes patience. But I had survived both. And I had learned something invaluable. Trust wisely, fight fiercely, and never allow anyone, even the people you love the most, to take your life, your dignity, or your happiness without a fight. Because in the end, survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about reclaiming your life on your own terms. And that day, I reclaimed mine.